afternoon slash evening live stream. This is P9, your host, and I'm back with another live. It's my first time going live since my visit to the Moundville Archaeological Park and its corresponding museum. So yeah, that was what, Saturday, three days ago, 4 days ago. So yeah, yep, I'm back live, and so you guys tap in to the live. I have a very interesting topic to talk about today. Um, yeah, I have a very interesting topic to talk about. So you guys want to tap in. For those that are just tuning in to the live, I know it's early, so I'm gonna wait until waiting for some more people to come in. But yeah, for those that do come into this live stream, make sure you tap the like button. It's free. All it takes is one click of a mouse or double tap of the screen. Like the live, and we're going to get into this discussion. It's about spring break travel. It's about spring break travel. Um, Definitely something that is worth talking about because me being a traveler, for my channel, I'm a travel vlogger and everything like that. This is definitely something that really intrigues me, the spring break travel. Um, yeah. Now, I've been watching a lot of TikTok and YouTube, of course, as I always do. And there's YouTubers and TikTokers and stuff like that. Well, I'm not on TikTok myself, but I watch some TikTok videos every now and then via YouTube. And yeah, been seeing a lot of things about chaos erupting in places like Daytona Beach, for instance. These big time spring break destinations where there's a large amount of people gathering, and it's not just large amounts of people gathering, but there's a large amount of unruly people gathering. And in these spring break places, like they had Daytona Beach. There was a shooting at Daytona Beach, at the beach. Because of there was some massive chaos going on, and some spring breakers getting into altercation and erupt into you know shots being fired, and this is like, and I actually forgot this week was spring break, by the way. I forgot this was spring break. So a lot of the spring breakers going out there, and it just so happened to be yesterday was St. Patrick's Day. Of course, St. Patrick's Day, that's where a lot of people go out, get drunk and all this other stuff. But I'm saying all this to say that if you guys are traveling but you're not really big on like major gatherings like that, or major where it's like thousands and thousands, tens of 20 thousands of people. And they said at one point Houston got up to like 2.2 million people gathered out in the streets, just where it's a bunch of spring breakers. So if you're not into massive crowds like that, I recommend that you don't travel during spring break. Let the spring break type stuff die down. I think from March the 2nd to April 28th or something like that is like the range of dates where there's going to be travel by spring breakers. Spring breakers generally, that's when people generally travel during the spring breaks. That's when, between those dates. That's March the 2nd to about April 28th. And so much so that we already know Miami Beach has a curfew. They have restrictions and all this other stuff where they shut the city down. They don't want spring breakers coming into their city because of all the unruly behavior, altercations, people heavily intoxicated, acting unruly, all this type of stuff. Welcome to the live. Welcome, William. William, thanks for tuning in to the live. I appreciate you for stopping by. Appreciate you. Is it N.A. Moral or N.A. Morel? I don't know if I pronounced that correctly or not. I do apologize if I mispronounced it, but thanks for tuning in. Nevertheless, we're gonna continue this discussion about spring break traveling. Yeah. And me personally, I don't even like traveling during this time of the year anyway. The weather, at least not to no big cities, not the big cities and the big, like spring break destinations because, it's going to be a lot of people. It's going to be overcrowded. It's going to be hard to find places to park. The prices go up on the hotels, like skyrocketing. Gas prices, of course, go up. All this type of stuff. It's just and then you just have a major crowd of people. Me personally, I don't really like super large crowds. Like I can do like a marginally sized crowd. Like if you guys have been following my channel for a minute, I did a couple of vlogs. They were mostly at festivals. They were like small city, small town festivals. I did one in Oneonta, Alabama, and I did another one in Lafayette, Georgia. Lafayette, Georgia was the Honeybee Festival, and Oneonta was the Covered Bridge Festival. So those are really, really cool vibes, really good vibes. Small, relatively small, but medium sized crowd. Nothing too crazy. It was enough for where I could go and network with people and stuff like that, and record, do my vlogging, everything like that. Capture the culture of these festivals and whatnot. But when it comes to like really, really big gatherings, like, in Houston, there was a TikTok video of like in Houston where there was a nightclub in Houston where it was a line that was stretched out almost 2 blocks, 2 city blocks of a line, just people just lined up, traffic all over the place. And, it's just, the highways being congested, all these type of things. Like if that is not your cup of tea, I recommend don't even travel to those places. Like, go somewhere like usually places where I like to go, like small, laid back, areas where you don't have to worry about paying exorbitant fees for parking. You know what I'm saying? Like because those type of places I like to go, relative like small cities, small towns, and it's nothing wrong with going to these places. These places are they're cost effective. If you don't like to spend a lot of money, the small towns are the best places to go. Just bring enough money for you to maybe get you a little like a moderately to low price hotel. Get you a low price hotel if need be. Bring enough money to get for gas, of course, and bring enough money in case you want to support a local restaurant, like I usually do. I go and I bring enough money to go if I want to eat at a local restaurant, a family owned spot in a small town, and maybe go to like a little locally owned business and support them. You bring enough money for that. It's very cost effective going to these smaller cities and smaller towns as opposed to traveling to the Houstons and the Miamis and Daytona beaches and stuff like that. I mean, the best time to travel to those places or just be like during off peak, the off peak season or the off peak time of the year, you know, um, where it's not a heavy crowd and it's not going to be as expensive because the more people that come out there, the more these hotels are going to jack up prices. These parking rates are going to go up. Everything goes up. The more people that visit and come out to these places. So that's just something I wanted to talk about and discuss in this live stream. Like, yeah, that's what I want to discuss in this live stream. You know, um, it was crazy, and but yeah, Daytona Beach was like the Daytona Beach one really tripped me out because it's like it was a whole bunch of a whole bunch of spring breakers going out there. You would think they would go out there to have a good time, but in actuality, fight broke out for whatever reason it may be. Um, certain group of people, you know what I'm saying, just out there just tripping, acting crazy, and next thing you know, it's like for me, like why? it's like you take your the type of behaviors that you indulge in or engage in, excuse me, type of behaviors that you engage in while you're like from coming from where you come from, whether it's the ghetto or whatever, that type of behavior, you take that with you when you travel. And then it's like, you go to these other places and you conduct yourself in a very negative way, and it's like it ruins the experience for people who just want to go there and go to these places and just relax. And you just like, you could have acted a fool. You didn't have to travel all the way to the beach or all 300-400 miles away to go act a fool. You could have stayed at home and done that. You could have stayed at home and smoked weed and got drunk and all this other stuff. You could have stayed at home and did all of that. Like for real, like you go travel 300-400 miles away to do all these type of things, and then ultimately, um, there's some fight breaks out. There's some people that don't like each other, altercation, and next thing you know, people's public safety is being put in jeopardy because a bunch of idiots get together, probably had too much to drink, and altercation breaks out. So I'm just telling people, man, if you travel, be conscientious of where you travel. Like I said, spring break. These spring breakers are out real heavy. They are out real heavy during this time of the year, and it's just so unfortunate that you have people, that actually want to travel and have a good time, but their times are being ruined because these spring breakers who are acting unruly. So I wanted to talk about that. I really wanted to talk about that and get you guys perspective on it. But yeah, man, we got some people coming into the live. So feel free to tap into this discussion about spring break travel. Spring break travel. And also those that are new to this channel. My name is P9. I'm a travel vlogger. I travel to different cities, states, and landmarks. I just recently did a trip to Moundville, Alabama, where I checked out the archaeological mounds in the museum, everything like that. So that content is available on my channel. So if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate if you support the channel by subscribing, going checking out the content and leaving some feedback, everything like that. And for those that are just coming in, definitely tap into this conversation about spring break travel. Do you guys like to travel during spring break when there's a bunch of people traveling, or would you rather travel where it's like off peak, where it's just not a whole bunch of people traveling, or it's a relatively moderate size compared to the massive amount of people that are traveling during the spring break periods? Y'all, don't feel free to weigh in. Feel free to weigh in to this discussion. Really interested in seeing what you guys have to say. And also make sure you tap the like button when you come into the live. I'd greatly appreciate that. You can tap that like button. It helps get the video out, helps get this live stream out there, and hopefully opens up the airway to this discussion. But yeah, man, it's just very interesting to see. And I like to travel. I like to go places, but at the same time, public safety is number one. Public safety is number one, and just being able to go somewhere and be at peace and have a peace of mind is more important to me. You know what I'm saying? So, um, so it's just something that I feel like it was worth discussing because we're like right in the midst of spring break, and it's like, man, And I asked myself, like, are all these people college students? Are like all these people going on spring break? Are they all college students? Or some of them like, because I always thought spring break was just for like people that were in college. Because, as an adult, do we really have spring break? I mean, as a working adult, you just like, yeah, and then I never really saw spring break being for anybody who was outside of school. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's just my biggest thing. What's up, Shay? Shout out from London. What's going on, Shay? Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you for returning for another live stream. I appreciate you for tapping in. And since you're on here, Shay, let me ask you this, Shay. Do they have spring break? Do they have a spring break out in out there in the UK? Is that like a thing out there in the UK? People traveling for spring break, or is that just like an American thing? Yeah, that's something that I really would be curious to know about. Because it's really the spring break is really heavily ingrained into our culture here in the states. Um, okay, so you guys do have a spring break. Okay, okay, yeah. I was talking about how over here in the states, a lot of people on spring break they go to the beaches, they go to like mostly like resort cities and towns, big cities and stuff like that, and they just go there and celebrate and just and our party and all this other stuff. And it's like it's gotten to the point where in some instances some of these spring break destinations brings it draws a large crowd, and a lot of times it draws the wrong crowd. People that just can't go out there and just have a good time. People that can't just go out there and have a good time. They have to bring a bunch of drama and chaos with them. It's just really bad. So like it's just something that I wanted to talk about um because you know like I try to enlighten people in regards to spring break travel and what to be on the lookout for, especially when it pertains to the type of crowd that you prefer to be around. And and it's a lot of times it's not even worth it. Like if you're somebody like me who likes a moderately sized crowd, it doesn't have to be super super big. I just long as I have like as long as there's enough people to where I can vibe with and potentially network with, that's a big enough crowd for me. So like I just I couldn't imagine going to one of these places where it's like millions of people just gathered. Like it's like a lot of these cities and towns, it's like the population swells to like ungodly amounts of people during these time of things. You know what I'm saying? So like it's just it's just crazy. O'Shea, you said any public gatherings always attracts the wrong crowds. Wow. Yeah, that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. It's like, it makes you think you want to do things, you want to get out the house and see stuff, but sometimes you ask yourself, is it even worth it? Like, because it's going to be a couple of bad people that come out and, a few bad people that come out and just ruin it for everybody else. And it's like it's just very unfortunate. Like, you know, it's just crazy. And it seems like no matter what type of event it is, it could be an event for like something that's not really like violence inducing, you know what I'm saying? And it still be somebody there with a bunch of negative energy, some people there that just, cause a bunch of mayhem and chaos and whatnot. But yeah, but that's crazy though. What I was talking about, what I saw about what was going on in Daytona Beach and a lot of these spring break destinations. It's like, dang, Like, you would think you would go on vacation and enjoy yourself, but everybody, they take that negative energy that they've had and they take it somewhere else and ruin it for everybody else. What's up, Tyson? Tyson in the building. What's going on? Says, yo, brother, how are you? Respect from Italy, brother. I appreciate that. Shout out to Italy. Shout out to Italy. I appreciate my overseas, my international supporters. I appreciate y'all for tuning in to the live stream as always. Now, Tyson, let me ask you this: do they have spring break? Is spring break a thing out there in Italy? Shay already told me there's a thing out there in the UK where it's spring break, but I was wondering if that really a thing out there in Italy because here in America, obviously, it's a huge part of the culture where mainly college students they have their week off from college and they go travel to these quote unquote spring break destinations. Places like Cancun, South Padre Island in Texas, Miami, and Panama City Beach, so on and so forth. And I was just talking about, man, I actually forgot that spring break was this week. Until I saw, like, I was watching a couple of YouTube videos about some incidents that happened in Daytona Beach and in Houston with spring break, these large gatherings. Um, so yeah, I was just talking about that, like just how spring break ultimately affects people's travel and what do people even feel like it's worth traveling when there's a bunch of college students going out there and a whole bunch of other people too just going out there just acting crazy and everything like that. um we only have Easter days off, but it's like 3 or 4 days. Oh, okay, so y'all have Easter days off. Okay. I know in the US there's a culture for it, but we don't really have it, sadly. Oh, you want that spring break culture out there? I mean, my thing is, it's not. It wouldn't be so bad if people just knew how to act. If people would just act like act civilized and stuff like that. There's nothing wrong with gathering around having a good time. But when you got a bunch of unruly individuals and if you involve alcohol with that, it's just a recipe for disaster. Oh no, I'm not. No, I'm not in college. I'm not in college now, Tyson. Last time I was in college, that was like 13 years ago, something like that. About 13, roughly 13 years, 12, 13. Yeah, the problem is people they always end up doing stupid stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, you know, like one thing about it is like for instance, um it's like people go to you would think like you have people like going to these places acting crazy and like they bring a lot of things that they did in their neighborhood. Like let's say and it ruins it for everybody else too, by the way. It ruins it for everybody else. Like they do something stupid and ruins it for everybody else. So much so that Miami Beach have restrictions. Like they have ordinances now to where, you know, they do security checkpoints, um, everything like that, to where people have to like verify what they're there for, and they have certain times, certain restrictions on when they can serve alcohol. Because Miami Beach was unruly place for a lot of spring breakers, but they shut that down. They shut that down with the restrictions. I look 25. Appreciate that, Tyson. Appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. I'm 36 now. I'm 36. Just turned 36 a few months ago. Yeah, just turned 36 a few months ago. I know really drank the youth potion. Appreciate that. Yeah, yeah, that's I get that a lot. I get that a lot. That I look younger than I really am. But yeah. But yeah, that's just my biggest thing. Like I prefer to just to travel like, to relatively small areas, where there's not as big of crowds, you know. It's a lot less drama, and it's a lot less drama, and it's really just, yeah, it's not worth going to these big cities and just being in the midst of all that chaos, and then not even guaranteed to, a parking space. It's true, brother. You look young for real. Will you ever travel to Italy? One day I will travel to Italy, indeed. What will be your recommended, if I travel to Italy, what would be the recommended place? Where would you recommend? Yeah, I recommend visiting Rome, Florence, Naples. Okay. Okay, cool, cool. Yeah, yeah. So those are like yeah, those are like the major spots. Okay, cool. Rome, Florence, Naples. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't mind visiting either one of those. For real, for real. That'll be some dope content too. That'll be some really cool content. Como Lake. No, I'm not familiar with Como Lake. That's out there in Italy? Nah, yeah, I don't think I've ever heard of Como Lake. Sounds interesting. Matter of fact. It's where they set up one of the first Star Wars where they get married. Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. Hey, I learned something new every day from one of my viewers. I had no idea. It's famous. A lot of famous people from US come here. Oh, I could imagine. Yeah, yeah, Italy is a major major travel spot. Major travel spot. Definitely don't mind. Definitely don't mind. Shit. I gotta make some plans to come out there. I gotta make some plans to come out there. Go out there for real. In fact, it's quite a few places I would like to travel for real. But yeah, man, I really been on here now 30 minutes. I've been on this live 30 minutes. Gotta go, brother. Sadly, thanks to the chat. I subbed. I will see you around. Wish you all the luck to you and your family. Have a great day. I appreciate that, Tyson. appreciate you for tuning in to this live and subscribing to the channel as well. And I wish you all the best as well. Hopefully you come back to another live stream. And shout out to Italy. Shout out to Italy. You have a great day as well. Yeah, y'all. But yeah, that's why I really wanted to get on here and talk about, just chop it up with you guys about spring break, traveling and stuff like that. Um, yeah, like if I ever do go to like a bigger city where that draws a lot of spring break visitors and stuff like that, I definitely would have to wait till all the smoke clears as far as to the visitors, wait till all the people, like vacate the city and everything like that, and just go when it's just like a regular like place, off peak, during like off peak time. And even still, it's still, you still have to be, conscientious of, regardless, you always have to be, excuse me, always have to be conscientious of your surroundings and who you're around and all that good stuff. So yeah, just thought I'd get on here and we chop it up about that. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Appreciate y'all for tapping into the live this afternoon/evening. Hopefully to see you guys on the next live. Until then, I'm out. Peace.